But before we can defeat her in 2027, we have to understand why we lost to her in 2023. Put simply, we lost because we didn't attract enough support from working Albertans. Polling tells a very important story, one that we cannot ignore if we want to win the next election. In the last election, the NDP won handily among voters with university educations and among Albertans who describe themselves as middle class. But we lost to the UCP, often by wide margins, among voters with high school, trades, and college educations, and among Albertans who describe themselves as working class. Under Rachel Notley, we have built a powerful coalition that almost won the last election. But our coalition has a hole in it. There's a missing piece, and that missing piece is workers. If we can find that piece and fill that hole, then we can win the next election, get rid of Danielle Smith, and fix our province. Now, I want to be straight with you. The problem that we're facing is not unique to Alberta. Danielle Smith and the UCP are doing the same thing in our province as Pierre Poilievre is doing on the national stage, and the same thing that Donald Trump is doing south of the border. They are taking legitimate worker anxiety and turning it into anger for their own political purposes. And that anger is killing us politically. We're also fighting against what I would describe as the conventional wisdom, which says that conservatives are better at the economy than progressives. We've all heard this refrain from our friends and neighbors, coworkers, and family. I don't like Danielle Smith, they say, but I'm going to hold my nose and vote for her because the economy. How many of you heard that? Until we recognize that we're losing workers, and until we make it a priority to win them back, we're going to continue to face the prospect of losing to the UCP, even when they're led by seemingly unelectable extremists like Danielle Smith. So that's why this leadership campaign is so important. We need a leader who understands the very specific challenge that I've just outlined, the fact that we're losing among workers. And there's a huge irony here. We are founded as the Workers' Party. But until we recognize that something needs to be done to bring workers back to the Workers' Party, we will continue to struggle, we will continue to come that close, and we will continue to be disappointed. We need a leader who is committed to working to win more support among workers. We need a leader who will not rest until that hole in our coalition, that missing piece, is found and replaced. So, how do we do it, and why am I the best one to do it? It starts with understanding our audience. Pollster Janet Brown, sort of the godmother of polling in Alberta, she describes the workers who the NDP has to win over as the limited bandwidth middle. They have limited bandwidth because they are overstretched and overworked. They're worried about their jobs, they're worried about their wages, they're worried about the rising cost of living, they're worried about how they're going to pay their mortgages or their rent, they're worried about the economy, they're worried about our overburdened healthcare system and our overcrowded schools, they're worried about their pensions, they're worried about their retirement security, and they're worried about what the future will hold for their kids and their grandkids. Between work and family and community obligations, these Albertans don't have time for politics. But they know things are not working. They're also practical and pragmatic, and they have very little patience for politicians. They don't want to hear what we're against. They want to hear what we're for. Specifically, they want solutions that will address their anxieties and materially improve their lives and the lives of their families. How big is this group? Janet Brown says it's more than 40% of the population. In other words, it's too big to be ignored. And how do we win them over? The starting point is to recognize that by and large, these voters are not political. They may have voted for the UCP in the last election, but that does not mean that they are conservative or that they favor conservative policies. In fact, polls show that when presented with progressive policies, this group often support those policies, not just a little bit, but very enthusiastically. So when we ran a campaign that was cautious, some might say a campaign about nothing, we missed an opportunity. This is a really important point. Moderation or moving to the center is not the way to these voters' hearts. The best way to think about them is not as to the right of us on the political spectrum, but rather that they are largely unattached to the spectrum entirely. They're floaters. They're free agents waiting to be inspired. Inspiration is the key. They can be inspired by conservative ideas, especially if those ideas are presented in an emotionally engaging package, or they can be inspired by progressive ideas if those ideas are presented in an emotionally engaging and compelling package. That is our task and our opportunity. Instead of political spin, we need to deliver straight talk. Instead of vague promises, we need to deliver concrete policies that make sense to these voters and which make a real difference in their lives. And in order to cut through the static, because these people have very busy lives, we need to be bigger, bolder, and better. How big and bold? Look at my platform. On the economy, we need to say that we need to use Lougheed and Biden-style government-led industrial policy to pivot our economy towards opportunities in the lower carbon future. On wages, I say that we New Democrats should commit ourselves to enhancing worker bargaining power, because the best way to help working Albertans cope with the rising cost of living is to make sure that they can have wage increases that actually keep up with inflation. On affordability, which is actually the #1 issue in this province, I say we should stop price gouging by corporations, stop it in their tracks by re-regulating our power system, introducing public auto insurance in our province, like our neighboring provinces, and creating a public Alberta Housing Authority to supplement the construction of new homes that are being built by the private sector. That's just a sampling. I'm almost done. We can and should also be the party of big, bold solutions on pensions, the environment, water, addictions treatment, municipal funding, COVID policy, public health. We should defend public health again. Healthcare, education. How about zero public funding for private schools? The bottom line for me is that we need to win the next election. Albertans need us to win that election. Our kids and our grandkids need us to win that election. Some say we can only win by being cautious and quiet. They say that we need to avoid scaring people off. I say that we win by swinging for the fences, by being confident, by being unafraid to talk about the economy through a progressive lens, by offering big ideas that will make big impacts in people's lives. I've spent my entire adult life standing up for Alberta workers. It's my passion and my purpose. I've spent the last 20 years working to map out policy ideas to strengthen our economy and bring us broadly shared prosperity. Let's win this let's win this election by being more New Democrat, not less. So courage, my friends. It is not too late to build a better world.
I think we gave you an extra minute or two there. Thanks, Gil. Okay, finally, our last contestant is Naheed Nenshi. Naheed is a proud first-generation Canadian and graduate of the University of Calgary and Harvard University. He served as mayor of the city of Calgary for 3 terms between 2010 and 2021. Prior to his election as Calgary's mayor, Naheed served as Canada's first tenured professor of nonprofit business management at the Bissett School of Business at Mount Royal University. Please join me in welcoming Naheed Nenshi.
Well, hello, Sherwood Park. This is amazing. Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you all for taking an interest in the future of our province. I'm honored and I'm blessed to be here with all of you today, and I'm honored and I'm blessed to be sharing a stage and a podium for these next few weeks with these 4 extraordinary people, and I'm so happy I got to go last. Because all of them have brought up brilliant ideas and brilliant thoughts, all based on an enormous love for this place. So I should have started, and let me start properly in a good way, by saying to all of you from the territory that I come from, Tansi, Buju, Ambawastich, Dada Nastada, Size Etia, Oki Nitsugwa, Nitsuwano Gabesto Chispistus. So those were mispronunciations of the Indigenous languages of the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. They all mean the same thing. Greetings to all my relations. And in Plains Native culture, the other thing you must do is introduce yourself when you're starting a conversation. So to my Tsuut'ina brothers and sisters, I am known as Etia, always ready, which, as the organizers of this and any event that I've ever been to, does not mean always on time. The other interesting thing about Plains Native culture, First Nations culture across the Great Plains of North America, is that it's characterized by a great sense of humor. And that great sense of humor is often exhibited by making fun of people who think they're high and mighty. So in typical Siksika Sitipi fashion, Elder Pete, standing alone, gave me a Blackfoot name that I cannot pronounce. And every time I try, they laugh. But it's something like Abesto Chispistus. It means clan leader, he who moves camp and the others follow. Now, the reason I wanted to start in a good way is because I want to start with all of you with a little story, if I may. And the story is, just as I finished being mayor of Calgary, just before the new mayor was sworn in, I had a mysterious appointment in my calendar. And it didn't say what it was, it just told me where to be and what to wear. And in the what to wear, it said, wear your purple ribbon shirt, and wear your thinnest pair of moccasins, and wear the jacket that Mrs. Starlight made for you when you got your Tsuut'ina name. To this day, I don't know why I had to wear the thin moccasins. But when I got to the room, I was greeted by elders from all 7 of the Treaty 7 First Nations, and they were there to bestow a particular honor on me. And the honor that they were I had already had the names, but the honor that they were bestowing on me is that they were giving me a ceremonial eagle feather headdress. So this was a beautiful day for many reasons, for 3 reasons in particular. Number 1 was the Siksika elder who was performing the ceremony also could not pronounce my Blackfoot name. I felt very vindicated. Number 2, I have a headdress now, which means I can go to any music festival in the world.